Michael says, Eric, real DBAs drink vodka. Switch to vodka, works quicker, and doesn't give you that white wine hangover. There's no taste, though.
You know, I like vodka soda. I think that's it. Like, you know, give me like a Kettle One and soda with like a little lemon or lime. I'm pretty cool for that on a summer day. But as far as stuff I'm keeping in the house goes, vodka, but I don't think I'm gonna start, because that just makes me feel like an alcoholic. I just started thinking of like When a Man Loves a Woman, that movie, like it was like Meg Ryan like falling down in the shower and stuff. Like that's what vodka at home takes me. Vodka at home doesn't take me to a good place. Right? Like watching some TV on the couch with white wine, fine place, not the next day. Couple glasses of scotch on the couch, cool. You know, I can feel fancy in my slippers. Vodka soda on the couch, I'm getting ready to go punch a cop. Things are going downhill fast.
So this might be why you like my dad. My dad's side of the family, it's all vodka. They have just vodka in the house continuously, so they'll get just, all vodka.
That's like you, Brent, but it's rosé.
I'm still mostly tequila. Rosé out getting fancy, you know, like if someone else has rosé on the menu, I'm 100% in. But I wouldn't keep it around the house because if you open one bottle, it's not good for more than a day. You want to make sure to knock the whole bottle out. And it's not like we have a bunch of people over hanging out. It's just me and Erica getting drunk. And
I was for sure you were team rosé all day.
No. And it takes up, here comes the apartment dweller. It takes up a lot of space given what you can hold. So tequila will last you longer.
With Clase Azul bottles, very economical.
Pack them right in. Such a mess. All right, Jason asks, when it comes to log shipping, are there any solids? There's no good segue for this. Jason asks, when it comes to log shipping, are there any solid solutions out there relating to syncing logins and stuff that's in the system databases? Silence says no. Terry, you're muted.
Yes.
There we go.
I mean, we know about Robert Davis's script that, for syncing logins, but everything else, there isn't really one tool to sync everything. You know, well, I mean, I think there's been tools over the years that people have released, but I don't know that there's much that people are recommending. So yeah, Robert Davis's sync login script, jobs. I've used doing it manually, making sure that my DR server or whatever other server is in sync at all times. Every time I make a change to the primary, I always make it the secondary. There's scripts out there that you can run. I don't know if DBA tools, PowerShell stuff can help out with this, maybe.
Yeah, that's true too. I was going to say Cahias has a syncing job script.
I just stuck that in chat too. Because that's the only one I read about. The only thing is that post is from 2013. I don't know that it's been updated in a while. I don't know.
No.
Like, not that I expect him to keep it up to date either. Because it's a freebie for a blog post. You know, we all know the quality of those freebie blog posts.
And we're not saying anything about Jonathan's. We're saying things about our own as well.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where a third-party vendor should totally step in and do, but you just got to be aware that if you make a change to a job and that job gets synced automatically to every other server, maybe your event paths are different, like the places where you store files. Maybe the schedules are different. Maybe you have some jobs that only are supposed to run on the primary and you didn't code in any detection to see whether or not it's the primary. Just be really careful when you sync them around from one place to another.
And if you're really changing jobs that frequently, then you probably just want to have a separate server that holds all the jobs and points them at, the stuff in your AG or log shipping or mirroring environment. And, that way, at least when you have those jobs run, you have to be really mindful about if you're like detecting if it's the primary or the secondary, because you can't just have things running full sail everywhere. I mean, you can, but you
job failures everywhere.
Yeah. Good luck dealing with those.
What would we know about job failures? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised Richie doesn't tweet more about that. I haven't looked over to see if he tweeted, but I'm surprised he doesn't tweet more about some of our adventures in production.
No, thank God. No. It's one of those things. Maybe if I have a good idea of why things happen, but a lot of these things, like what happened yesterday, we had 11,000 failures in production, which was just a fun thing to have, and it happened to be a problem with one of our load tables, which was it wanted a vacuum and then I scratch my head, and I'm like, what's the hell a vacuum? And so we figured out in really short order. We just had a lot of errors happen really quickly at the busiest time of the day. And but oddly enough, everything, I think with the exception of 12 files, everything reprocessed and everything went back through. So there we go.
We need to get one of those signs. It's been like 0 days since our last app.
That's right.
Yeah, you should totally put that up.
1 day since last failure.
You know, since Brent's little pet project is building like automated animated signs, we can get one of those for Slack or something. I don't know.
We totally could. So the demo for this, let's see if I say GitHub, and it'll be over here. So the project that I'm working on right now is a little animated sign to show the next 3 flights coming in to our airport, because right over there is the San Diego Airport flight path. And so I worked with a little developer to build a little tool so that it'll show, just like kind of an airport flipboard, the next 3 flights coming in. And this is a screenshot, like a static list of flights. It's not the current flights in San Diego. But it shows the flight number, the equipment type, the departure airport, arrival airport, and the time it's coming in at. So the goal is we're going to throw it up on a projector so that it just shows on the wall about what's coming in next. So that's my life. There we go.
San Diego Airport, which we recently learned has the least secure Wi-Fi in all major national airports.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, next up, Lee says, y'all need to meet some Russians and learn how to make flavored vodka. Pinion nut vodka is amazing?
Vodka. You got to say it right. It's vodka.
Vodka.
I mean,
vodka.
It's still vodka. Every time I've seen someone drink flavored vodka, it's never been good, and the person has always been awful. So it's always been like birthday cake flavored vodka or something. I'm like, here's cupcake vodka, and I'm like, die, stop, let the cirrhosis take you.
Well, and it's always in combination with this is great with whatever. This is great with Diet Coke. How about alcohol that tastes great by itself? Just. And you can't drink birthday cake vodka for any length of time, or you will be dead. You will be dead. Gordon asks, what might be the reason for hugely differing values for page life expectancy on a server with 2 NUMA nodes? Shouldn't the PLE be the same across both nodes?
I'm really confused on the question, because what does PLE have to do with two NUMA node servers?
I think is it PLE for one NUMA node is lower than on the other?
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
This thing, Paul has a blog post about this, and to me the takeaway is, it's a good blog post, but to me the takeaway is don't monitor page life expectancy. It's just a garbage metric that doesn't tell you anything.
It goes up, it goes down.
Mic drop.
Yes.
Maybe they should put a vacuum to it. I don't know.
Well, yes, all we know about Postgres now, you just need to stick vacuums everywhere. You would think that a bunch of big popular bloggers would have wildly different opinions on how you go and do performance tuning. I bet if you put us in a room, or especially in separate rooms, and you gave all of us written tests, like where do you start with performance tuning, we would all have a lot of different answers, but I bet the big thing would be weight stats. We would start with weight statistics to find out what the server's bottleneck is. You'll find all kinds of blog posts about all kinds of other techniques that we also use after we find the weight stat that's a problem. But I think everybody kind of starts with weight stats instead of page life expectancy.
Yeah. I mean, weight stats drive me as far as, do I want to look at queries that are running now? Do I want to look at the plan cache? What type of plans do I want to look for in the plan cache? Like with BlitzCache, we can sort things by different metrics. So if weight stats are showing me high CPU, then I'm sorting by CPU, stuff like that. And it also drives me to do I want to go right to the plan cache, or do I want to go look at indexes because something is just clearly run amok over here? So if I look at weight stats and I see a lot of locking, I'm going right to the indexes. I'm not going to stop in the plan cache. I'm not going to start with the plan cache right after that.
And then also, large memory grants can cause the query workspace area of RAM to grow, which can cause the buffer pool to shrink down. So, I mean, sometimes when you see page life expectancy, it's because of jobs that we're running, like rebuilding indexes. It could be, you don't have enough RAM for the buffer pool. But what about large memory grants that can cause the buffer pool to shrink down?
Even just CheckDB that's doing something crazy. That might be the one thing that got everyone in different rooms to like pick up the sword and shield about is index rebuilds.
That's probably true, and it would just boil down to 2 rooms. There'd be the one room on one side, and the other room would be like Scotland and the freedom thing. Michael Tilley asks a question that's about a paragraph long. I'm going to scan it just to see if I can get a short answer on it. Michael says, I have various SQL Server instances. If a plane leaves Philadelphia at the same time.
Someone flushes a cheesecake.
Well, I mean, I think the best part of this question is he's like, okay, SQL tech question now. Like, calm down, people.
That is asking about the speed of SSMS. Okay.
So it's slow in the SSMS?
Says that the standalone version of SSMS is slower. So like the 17 branch of SSMS is slower than the one that comes with installation media.
I thought it didn't come with the installation media anymore.
Well, for his older versions. He's got
okay.
2008.
Well, yeah, they added more crap to it. Every time you add more crap, you slow something down. All the new versions where Microsoft gets to add things like quarterly to them, they just add new things, and when you add new things, you slow things down. Like especially I keep adding the fat, and that keeps slowing me down.
Well, the pineapple flavor vodka doesn't do. I think too that they changed the version of Visual Studio that was built on top of, and it added all kinds of new bloat when they did that. If you want something that's lean and mean and kind of fast, you could start with SQL Operations Studio, which is their new Electron-based one. The problem is it's also kind of faster because they took out a whole lot of features. It does way less stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. It's fine. If you want to use SSMS on a Mac or on Linux and you don't want to install a VM, that's one way to do it. I run a Mac as my home main machine. I'm getting ready to watch the Apple keynote in about 30 minutes, and I'm going to have my credit card ready going, shut up and take my money. I want a new iPad so bad, and I've been holding back for so long. I don't want another phone with 2 terabytes of RAM. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, and still I don't use SQL Operations Studio. I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just SSMS is amazing.
Someday, SQL Operations Studio will be just as big and bloated as Management Studio. Have all the features, and complain about that then.
Cortana.
Yeah, why not? Go crazy.
Brent is so buying another phone. I mean,
I'm not. I'm totally not.
It's going to happen. People, trust me. It's going to happen.
Anything that they could bring out, I'd be like, no, thankfully I'm good. Because I am holding back my credit card for the iPad. Because the instant that they throw it, and I don't want the 12-inch, I don't want something that's the size of a Trapper Keeper. That's ridiculous. I just want an iPad mini that's like 9 inches, 10 inches across. That's all I need.
But what if there's a Lamborghini on the iPad Trapper Keeper? I mean, come on, Brent.
Ooh, yeah, okay, yeah. Or, okay, so now I have to show this. So one of my favorite websites, AutoTrader Oversteer. This is where a lot of their commentary goes for AutoTrader. Tyler is this guy who has an incredible car collection problem, and he continuously buys the cheapest expensive car in the United States. So like his latest purchase after his Ferrari F355 caught fire was he bought the cheapest Ferrari Testarossa in the United States. So then he goes and buys the cheapest version of something and blogs about all the problems that he runs into with it and how expensive or inexpensive it is. Yeah, so there's that. Erik, different Erik, asks, I applied, it's not really an asks, he's just kind of making a comment. I applied Service Pack 2 Cumulative Update 2 for 2016 a couple weeks ago, and my database mail stopped working. To resolve it, I had to reconfigure .NET 3.5 on the server. How did Microsoft miss this? I might go back to applying not cumulative updates. Might not apply cumulative updates anymore.
It's amazing when there are bugs in something that gets released monthly.
And database mail, like the further you go off campus, like the further you go into features that are kind of not mainstream, SQL Server is a great relational database, but the more that you start to use the feature that automatically lowers and raises your car's antenna, the less that stuff is really reliable and tested. There's just only so many tests they run.
Well, I mean, even the last round of CUs for 2017, like there was a bunch of trace flags on in one of the releases, and they had to roll that back. Not that I blame them. Like I get oversights, especially with a product that big and the code release that big and all the stuff you have to do in there. I get it. I'm not Not trying to harsh the Microsoft vibe there, but man, it's
Yeah. Yeah, it was 2016 CU2. There was a GDR security patch. They unreleased it because it had trace flags turned on, then re-released it again like a week later. And if you're pushing the updates out as fast as they come out, man, you're gonna have a bad time.
I think if I had to do this, I think if I had to deal with the CU release cycle now for prod, I would probably be a month or two behind.
Mm-hmm. Or I wouldn't even put it to development within the first week.
No. I mean, development would probably be, I don't know, I think a month behind. Prod would probably be 3 months behind. I don't know. It's staggered somehow, so I can wait and let some other poor fool jump on that bleeding edge.
A grenade.
It's usually you, Eric, by the way.
Jim said he had the same issue. You can also resolve it by recreating your database mail.exe.config file, and he said that the mail issue will be resolved in cumulative update 3. So see you next month.
Yay! Which will break something else.
And we're not saying not to patch either. Like, Brent doesn't like patching. No, we love. I'm a thorough believer that you should be on a relatively current version. Release the RTM version sucks, but. Let's see. Gus says, when should you change MAXDOP? If you have a 16-core SQL Server, should you change MAXDOP from the default of 0?
Immediately.
Would you take a coffee break first, or would you change it immediately?
I would do it immediately. I wouldn't even think. I wouldn't even hesitate. I would just like done at 8.
8. Okay, I was going to ask you what would you change it to. Yeah. And at the same time you change it, are there any other changes that you would also make?
Oh, dear God. Do we need to stretch your time that badly? Yes, I pour flavored vodka on it. Strawberry jam, throw some English muffins in there, cook a pancake. I don't know. Yeah, there's lots of changes I make to a SQL Server. I try to write about them so that people don't have to continue to be befuddled by setting up SQL Server. This is one of those things I blogged about sort of recently, where the people still need help, basic help with the setup, and there are settings that, like when Microsoft stuck TempDB in front of everyone and said, hey, multiple files, size them the same, do some good stuff, like nudging people in the right direction, and by making a bunch of trace flags the default behavior so that you don't have to be a DBA with that checklist of things that you do. They started putting some good things in the setup of the product and like just the way the product is presented to people. They just make their lives easier. MAXDOP and cost threshold are totally some of those things that just people need in front of them when they do setup. And if Microsoft is going to have pages on the internet in which they give you best practices for things, those best practices should show up during setup on those screens. Even if they're not filled in for you, just say, we recommend this, you should change it to this. Fine, I would take that over. Just click next a few more times and out you go. Just put it in front of people so they know. If people still need this much help with it, what is it, 20-something years after the defaults are added to the product, maybe it's time to put them up front.
And do you think, too, the versions that go out today, so whenever SQL Server vNext comes out, Microsoft Ignite is coming up in about a week. Ignite is when they set fire to all your plans to go build your next SQL Server because they're about to release the new version. So they drop the new version out. Whatever version next comes out in next week, and it obviously won't come out like for production use next week. It'll be just like a preview next week probably. And I'm just guessing. I have no inside knowledge. But they did the same thing last year at Ignite. So whatever version they bring out, say that it comes out, the final comes out in January of 2019. People are going to be installing that for the next 7 years, next 8 years. The setup needs to go, hey, here's a place on the web where you can go for information that wasn't written by Dwight Eisenhower, things that are vaguely up to date.
Like written by someone who has since hit retirement age and left. I'm done. Or I don't even work with the product anymore. Like I took a job at a bigger company than Microsoft somehow. Just give us something.
Now I'm going to go work in a monitoring company and immediately try to fix all the things that I left behind in setup. Yeah. Kevin says, morning. Afternoon
sure
Web
about that.
Services. He says, AWS, do you use your own SQL Server install from the images in EC2, or do you use theirs? The big driver
had a choice.
Well, the licensing is the big driver. So if you use AWS's instances that have licensing included, so like enterprise, standard, whatever, then they're going to make you do one of two things. Either you have to pay by the hour for that or bring your own licensing. If you want to use it for any kind of high availability or disaster recovery, it usually makes sense to build your own image and install your own SQL Server from there. Not because you're going to do a better job, just because you're not going to have to hassle with their licensing police. And then you can manage the number of replicas that you have, all that, without having to hassle it. Even if you do use their installs, it's very next finish. It's just like what you would do if you were just throwing the DVD in and you were drunk working for a cloud company and you had to ship it out as quickly as possible. Microsoft's the same way. Google's the same way. The stuff that they ship out as defaults isn't necessarily best practices. Cost threshold for parallelism. So you would still want to go through your own setup checklist to get it the way that you would want it, as opposed to somebody at a vendor.
Do you remember what stuff was set to in managed instances?
Oh, I might have blogged about that. Managed instance.
I remember looking at a bunch of stuff. I don't remember what they had the defaults for there, but I think that would be a pretty good, measuring stick.
No, I sure didn't. No, I didn't blog about what they did in managed instances. And I
don't remember looking now that I think about it.
No, and I bet you one crispy burrito that it is exactly the same as the Box product. I bet they're not changing that either.
Yeah, which would be weird.
Well, but remember, they're charging you for CPU consumed. So on one hand, they want it to perform fast, but on the other hand, they really want to fleece you for all you've got.
True.
And then the last question we'll note is more of an observation from Michael Tilley. Michael says, Erik, the perfect vodka martini recipe. He wants a vodka with more than 6x distillation, like Tito's or Dripping Springs vodka from here in Texas. The number of distillations has to do with the sippability or the smoothness of vodka and the ensuing quality of the martini being made.
Can I give you the perfect recipe for a glass of Lagavulin?
Yes, by all means.
Lagavulin. Enjoyment. Too much work.
There's two kinds of people in the world. The people who love to cook and make things, like craft things from multiple ingredients, and the people who don't. I'm one of those people where if I could reach into the fridge and get out a burrito that wouldn't kill me and just put it in the microwave and I could magically stay healthy, I would be all over that. That would be like perfect to me.
It's called a Hot Pocket, Brent.
But that will kill you. If I only ate Hot Pockets, I would die. And I like Hot Pockets, but yeah, no, my idea, same thing with the idea of a drink. I like wine, you open the bottle, you can drink the bottle. Tequila, you open the bottle, you can drink the bottle. But at the instant that there's multiple ingredients involved, I'm all for fancy complex drinks, but someone else needs to be making them, not me.
Yeah. It's like the same way that, I'm all for fancy complex store procedures. Someone else should be writing.
Brent's the same way with the software. He's all for fancy complex software, and as long as someone else writes it.
Absolutely. Yes. All right, so we'll take one more question because Mike added one more. Different Mike. Mike says, is there any way to connect to a SQL Server instance running on a VirtualBox Linux from the desktop where the VirtualBox is running? Yes, it'll likely involve. Oh, yeah, you did that for a while.
Yeah. No, I still have VirtualBox on here. So to connect to the virtual instance, I'll go look at my settings right now because I can pull them up quickly for you. So it's Windows, so it's a little bit different, but for my settings, and I can connect to SQL Server here. Over in networking, I have enabled network adapter attached to NAT, and then in the promiscuous mode, I have to allow all. So that'll make things magically work. And I can connect to all my VMs from the desktop, and all my VMs can connect out to the internet. So if you want something different, then you'll have to Google for that yourself. But those settings work for me with VirtualBox to connect in and to have those boxes be able to go to websites, so I can look at things in a VM on a website. Let's talk about something else.
And that's a perfect way for us to end office hours. We'll all get back to surfing the Webernets. All right, see y'all later. Adios.